Hey Tim, what's going on?
How's it going, Shane?
Good, good. You ready for today's show?
Yo, I can't hear you.
Hey, can you hear me now?
I hear both of you just fine.
I can't hear Shane.
Shane, back out and try again.
Okay.
So we're having some technical difficulties, so I'll do the intro tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to Inside the Ice with Shane and Tim. I am Jake. I am not Shane. I am not Tim. Technical difficulties have me stepping in real quick. So what we're going to do tonight is the top 50 players in the NHL, and it looks like Shane is back. Let's see if they can hear each other now.
Tim, what's going on? Can you hear me?
No.
This is a great start. Tim, you try backing out and starting over here. We are off to a great start on this great Thursday night in November. Shane, how are you tonight?
Not too bad. As you can see, I'm wearing a hoodie and a toque or beanie or wool hat or whatever the hell you guys call it in the States. Because it's freezing outside. So it's another day in Canada.
What's the mileage up there? By that I mean the damage. Let's call it the weather. Let's go with the weather. Let's get back to normal here.
It's about minus 20 today.
Oh, only minus 20? No big deal.
Yeah.
All right,
only.
can you hear each other?
There we go.
Tim,
Beautiful. I'm
Tim,
getting
can you
the hell
hear
out
me?
of here then.
It was not the Canadians' fault this time, actually.
Those damn people from Boston, I tell you.
Yeah, you can.
All right, so Tim, we're going to get right into this because we got about 55 minutes to get through 20 guys. So as Jake kind of introduced us, this is the start of 3 episodes in a series where we do the top 50 hockey players in the NHL. Currently, the stats that we are about to give you and our choices are based on the past 3 seasons combined. And I'm really excited for this series of episodes, Tim. And I think by the sounds of things, you are too. So what we're going to do, guys, we have we're going to give you 10 honorable mentions. So those are guys that didn't quite make the top 50, but were considered. And so we'll give you 10 of those. And then right after those 10, we'll get right back into it with number 50 to 41 for today. Next week, we'll do 40 to 21. And the week after that, we'll do the top 20. So without further ado, we'll get this started. And Tim, do you want to go ahead and give us the first honorable mention?
Yeah, absolutely. Defenseman from the Vancouver Canucks, Quinn Hughes, picked 7th overall in 2018 by Vancouver. 8 goals, 45 assists for 53 points in 68 games in his rookie season.
Mm-hmm.
He
was unreal.
Oh yeah, definitely. And the whole fact of the matter is he's only 21 years old and he's already numbers in the NHL.
Right.
So only going to get better. By the time he's 25, 26, he might be one of the top defensemen in the NHL.
Absolutely. He's well on his way there for sure right now.
So I think he's a key asset for them if they want to keep moving up in the Pacific Division because they're in a position right now where they need to keep attaining solid players, you know?
Yeah. And I mean, one thing that does really, really stand out to me is look how well Quinn Hughes played in the playoffs there for Vancouver. He scored in 17 playoff games. He scored 16 points. For a defenseman, that's unreal. It's almost a point per game in the Stanley Cup playoffs for a 21-year-old defenseman.
Absolutely.
Unreal. And he's playing top minutes in Vancouver. He's a number 1 guy. He plays on the power play a lot. Like, this guy is a stud for sure.
Yeah. And I think the only blemish that you can put is he does have a minus 10, but they're the team that he came into. Vancouver is not a contender right now. So a defenseman, he very well might have a bad minus if he's getting a lot of solid minutes.
And I mean, like in this case, you could argue that a minus 10 doesn't really matter because you look at all the points that Quinn Hughes gets on the power play where plus minus doesn't come into effect. So, I mean, a minus 10, I think in this case, I mean, that's just like a tiny little blemish in an otherwise like great stats so far.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So the second honorable mention that we're going to get into, captain of the Los Angeles Kings, Anze Kopitar. Kopitar was drafted 11th overall by the Kings in 2005. Obviously, he's spent his entire career with the Kings so far, his 15 or 14 seasons. He is 33 years old, which, I mean, obviously he's not really slowing down in age. But Tim Kopitar is still able to put up great numbers for the Kings.
Absolutely. And like he's won 2 cups with the Kings. He's he's already won. He's already played 1,000 career games.
Yeah.
He's got 150 total points, plus 6 overall. I think he's right up there with Bergeron for like the top defensive offenseman. You know.
Yeah, exactly, for sure. And I mean, a plus 76. You think of that in a career, that's a great stat to have for a centerman. Like plus 76 is unreal.
Yeah, and for the LA Kings, they've been a shit team for the past seasons. So for him,
few seasons for sure.
While he's still getting solid minutes, and like you said, he's 33 years old. He's not like he's in his 20s anymore.
One thing that really kind of stands out to me when you look at Kopitar's stats is in the last 3 seasons, kind of what we're looking at here, 214 points in 233 games. So that is almost for a player who was in his 30s when these Brandon, by the way, this is just current top 50, not all time, but 214 points in 233 games. That's for a player that was in their 30s. Okay, Christina. Unreal stat there for Kopitar for sure. A player that's in their 30s and you're averaging almost a point per game. Crazy.
Yeah. So next honorable mention I'm going to jump into defenseman from the LA Kings, Drew Doughty. Overall pick in 2008. He's only 30 years old. We were talking about him just a couple days ago, and we were coming up with this list.
Yeah.
He won the cup and an Olympic gold medal by the time he was like 22.
22. Yeah, he won the Olympic gold with Canada in 2010 when he was 20. And then first Stanley Cup for the Kings in 2012, he was 22. I could have sworn Doughty was like 34, 35.
That's what I thought. 7 goals, 28 assists for 35 points in 67 games last season. Not the greatest stats, but him and Kopitar are pretty much one of the last key pieces along to that Kings team. So you can't give him too much criticism. I'd be curious to see if Doughty went to another team, what he could do, because he's only 30 years old.
Right, but Doughty, the way I look at it, he is the face of the LA Kings. Like people look at it like, yeah, Kopitar is the captain, but when you think of LA Kings, for me, the first person that comes to mind is Drew Doughty. He's just been with the Kings since, well, he was drafted in 2008, so he's been with the Kings his entire career. And you think modern LA Kings, you think Drew Doughty.
Absolutely, that would be a huge blow to that franchise. But do you think Doughty sticks it out for the rest of his career, or do you think he wants another cup run?
I mean,
close to a cup run at all.
Yeah, they're not close, but I mean, he does have 2 cups with the Kings, and I mean, he has come out on multiple occasions and said publicly he loves it in LA. He has a family there. He has obviously a place to live there. I can see Drew Doughty being like a franchise king for the whole of the entirety of his career. However, I mean, he is 30 years old. I would say if it comes to the time he's 34, 35 and LA still isn't close, maybe then you kind of want out and try to push for that 3rd cup run. But I think right now Doughty's sitting pretty in LA for sure.
Yeah, he's definitely contract set up.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, another thing before we get into the next person, 502 points for Doughty in 919 career games, which for a defenseman, that is not bad stats at all. That's pretty damn good.
He's definitely had a couple years where I'm surprised he hasn't won a Norris. I'd be willing to bet that he won a Norris, but he's definitely been one of the finalists for sure.
I think he's been in the finals for a few years, but he hasn't really hasn't won one, which, I mean, Doughty is definitely one that needs a Norris trophy for sure. We're going to move on to the 4th honorable mention. This one is arguable. We had him in the top 50, and then there was other players, and he just kind of kept moving down. You could argue that this player is definitely one of the top 50s. Colorado Avalanche winger Mikko Rantanen. We have him as an honorable mention here. He was drafted 10th overall in 2015 by the Avalanche. He is 24 years old now. When I was typing up these stats, I was looking at these and I was like, man, this guy, he's a damn good player. Like, Mikko Rantanen's one of those guys that you look at and he's severely underrated in this league. And just some stats, but like 24 years old, like I said, he had 41 points in 42 games last season. Obviously, he was injured for quite some time, but throughout Rantanen's career, he's averaging very, very, very close to a point per game.
Absolutely. And he's only 24 years old. 39 points in 33 playoff games. That's unreal.
Yeah.
That shows you that he can show up in big games.
Yeah.
And plus 11 in 15 playoff games this past season. That's also key right there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I mean, you look at the last 3 seasons, he's over a point per game, 212 points in 197 games over the last 3 seasons, which is awesome. Like, unreal.
No doubt he's one of the key pieces to McKinnon and Landeskog line.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. And I mean, I would even go as far as to say, like, Rantanen, Mac, and Landeskog, if they stay together, they're going to be like, they are arguably one of the top lines in the NHL right now. I would even go as far as to say they're probably the best first line in the NHL, but they're only going to get better. Colorado's definitely due for a cup. Once they get past, that hump of losing in the second round, I definitely see Colorado making a push to the cup for sure in a very, very little amount of time.
Definitely. So I'm going to move on to the next honorable mention. Another defenseman, Seth Jones, 4th overall pick in 2013 by the Predators. He's only 26 years old, and he had 6 goals, 24 assists for 30 points in 56 games last season for Columbus.
Mm-hmm.
Was also plus 10 and had 1 goal and 3 assists for 4 points in 10 playoff games last year.
Yeah, solid defenseman for Columbus. And I will keep saying this till the day I die. Seth Jones, he was drafted 4th overall in 2013. That was the same year that the Oilers picked Ryan Nugent-Hopkins 1st overall. And anyone that watches this show religiously and is a big fan of this show will know already. I've said it almost every show that I'm a diehard Oilers fan. And I will say this to the day that I die. I still think we should have picked Seth Jones over Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. In 2013, when the Oilers picked, like, Nugent-Hopkins, obviously he was like kind of the unanimous number 1 choice. And don't get me wrong, I love Nuge. I love what he brings to the Oilers. But at the time, Oilers needed defense. They still do need defense. And Seth Jones would be an absolute stud. And believe it or not, Seth Jones' brother, Caleb Jones, is in the Oilers organization. And he's also a defenseman. So, I mean, you have Seth Jones and Caleb Jones possibly on the same defensive pairing for the Oilers. Like, chemistry right there.
Absolutely. I didn't even think about that. But, yeah, that was the same drafted Hopkins.
Yeah.
Edmonton definitely needs to get some defensemen. So I don't know what exactly they did so far in the offseason, but that's another crucial point to that team. Do you want to go off on the next honorable mention?
Yeah, I can definitely go off on the next one. So the next one is another. I thought he was a rookie. He's actually in his 2nd season. Miro Heiskanen, defenseman for the Dallas Stars. Miro Heiskanen was picked 3rd overall by Dallas in 2017. This is another kind of in there with Cale Makar and Quinn Hughes. He's a stud young defenseman. He is going to be definitely, I think he's playing top minutes right now with John Klingberg on the Stars' first line there. But Miro Heiskanen, 21 years old, like I said, this is absolutely crazy. This kid had, in the playoffs this year, he had 26 points in 27 games for a 21-year-old defenseman in the playoffs last season, and he was a +8. I had very, very, like, if the Dallas Stars would have beat Tampa Bay Lightning in the Stanley Cup final, I had Heiskanen as like a finalist for the Conn Smythe with how well he performed.
Absolutely. He was without him, Dallas does not make it to the Cup finals at all.
For sure.
He showed up that playoffs, and I think he's just going to take it to another level next year. He's only 21. this playoffs was just a huge confidence boost for him.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you look at the stats there. 8 goals and 27 assists for 35 points. That was over the course of 68 games this last season. So I mean, mediocre numbers there, but for a young 21-year-old defenseman, it's definitely nothing to frown about for sure. He has only played 2 seasons, like I mentioned, but over the course of those 2 seasons, 150 career games, 28 goals, 48 assists for 68 points. Definitely not too bad there. And career plus minus is right there, even at 0. 15 power play points, 4 game-winning goals. This is going to be a young stud for Dallas, absolutely.
Yeah, and also look at this fact. Dallas was not considered one of the top teams in the league. So for him just to come out and have that impact and help Dallas get to where they got, that just adds another bonus to his talent.
And, I mean, you were talking about Mikko Rantanen showing up in big games, which is absolutely true. But Miro Heiskanen is also a defenseman that you can trust to play those big minutes in crucial games. 30 points in 40 career playoff games. Obviously, he had 26 points in 27 games like we talked about this year. But that would mean last year he had 6 points in 13 games, which still is like 0.5 points a game. So you're definitely looking at a very, very good young defenseman there for the Dallas Stars. And I think that pick actually worked out really good. That 3rd overall and pick for Dallas in 2017, definitely a good choice there. Heiskanen is turning into a top defenseman in the league for sure.
Absolutely. I'm going to jump into the next honorable mention. He's our first goalie of the list, Connor Hellebuyck. He was drafted 130th overall by Winnipeg in 2012. 27 years old, 31, 21, and 5 record through 58 games last year with a 2.57 goals against and a .922 save percentage.
Can I just stop you here? That is unreal numbers for a goalie that was drafted 130th overall.
Yeah.
I had no idea Hellebuyck went that late in the draft.
I was going to say that was such a steal for Winnipeg. You don't see goalies putting up that numbers that weren't drafted in the first round like ever.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, Hellebuyck's obviously morphed into the franchise starting goalie for the Winnipeg Jets. And I mean, I thought for sure he was drafted, 2nd round, absolute latest, but 130th overall, that's like the 4th, 5th round, which is crazy.
Absolutely. And he's had 14 shutouts.
Yeah.
Like, that's nothing to be ashamed of. And Winnipeg hasn't been the greatest team. They've been a playoff team, but they've often been a wild card 3rd seed team in the division.
Yeah.
And Hellebuyck has been a key part to that team. Without him, Winnipeg is not a playoff team.
And Hellebuyck's been lights out for lots of seasons now. Like, I mean, you look at the last 3 seasons kind of where we came up with these stats. His total record is 109 wins, 55 losses, and 17 extra points there. That's basically like 1 win away from doubling his wins and losses. He has like twice as many wins as he does losses. And I mean, his career, he's got 148 wins, 85 losses in his career, and a 2.64 goals against and a .917 save percentage. That's unreal for a 130th overall drafted goalie.
And playing in the Central Division. Over the past 3 years, you have St. Louis, Nashville, Dallas. Chicago hasn't been the greatest, but you still have Hayes. That's no easy game right there. So there's teams that are a threat in the Central Division, and he's still put up those numbers.
Yeah, especially like you said, playing against teams like Chicago, St. Louis, Colorado is always a tough one there in the Central. But playing against those teams and still having career numbers like that is absolutely insane for Connor Hellebuyck, definitely. And I mean, he was, I think, did he win the Vezina this year, or was he I think he was a finalist.
Vasilevsky won the Vezina.
Vasilevsky, yeah. Hellebuyck was a finalist, though. I know that.
Yeah.
And rightfully so. This guy's a great goalie. He's going to I wouldn't be surprised if he wins a Vezina in the near future. He's 27 years old, still got a lot of years ahead of him. I mean, like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if Hellebuck wins a Vezina in the next 2-3 seasons.
Definitely.
All right, so young stud from Vancouver is next. That is forward Elias Pettersson. Elias Pettersson was drafted 5th overall by Vancouver in 2017. It's actually Pettersson's 22nd birthday today, so happy birthday to him. He's 22 today, as I mentioned. This is another kid that's good. He's morphed into a really, really good player for Vancouver. He has 27 goals and 39 assists for 66 points. He was also a plus 16 in 67 games last season. So, I mean, basically a point per game. But he's averaged almost a point per game his entire career.
That's unbelievable. And many people had doubts in him because of his build and his personality. He's very standoffish, doesn't really like interacting with the media.
Yeah.
But, you know, he's going to be an unbelievable player. Like Quinn Hughes, he's another key piece to Vancouver as a young team that in the next 3 to 4 years, they are going to be a good team. They've built a good cast of young players.
I'm just saying, I agree with Brandon here, guys.
Well,
I had to look up every single player on the list to find out what team they played for. I know absolutely nobody on this list.
Well, I mean, all due respect to Jake and Brandon, we haven't even reached the top 50 yet. So once we hit the top 50, you're definitely probably, when we get up to the superstars, you're probably gonna start knowing a lot more guys for sure. But yeah, go ahead, Tim.
So he's got 12 game-winning goals, 46 power play points. He's a threat on the power play by no at all. 55 goals, 77 assists for 132 points in 139 career games. That's nothing to be ashamed about.
You know, and as an Oilers fan, like obviously Vancouver's a Pacific Division rival, and the Oilers play Vancouver 5-6 times every season. Like, it's crazy. But it got to the point last season where Pettersson was so dangerous on the ice. Dave Tippett actually came out and said they were going to be like, whenever Pettersson was on the ice, they were throwing Oscar Klefbom when he was healthy up against him, because Klefbom was the only player that played against Pettersson enough times to know what he was going to do. Any other defenseman they put on Pettersson, Tippett said Pettersson would get at least 2 or 3 points a game, which just kind of proves, like, if you're an Oilers, if you're a member of the Oilers or any other team for that matter, if you're constantly putting your best defenseman against this young 22-year-old player, that just goes to show you how not only good he is right now, but how good he's going to become in the future.
Yeah. Just give him 2 to 3 years when he's in his actual prime and he's experienced. He's going to be a deadly threat to the rest of the NHL.
Yeah, and I mean, like, you look at his career numbers for sure, too. Like, he has 25 points in 43 playoff games, but then you look at his career. Sorry, I don't think we have career number. Oh yeah, we do. No, we 136 points in 217 games over the past 3 seasons. Or sorry, I'm looking at the wrong guy. My apologies.
Shane, what the fuck are you on?
Can't get. Sorry, I'm tired, man. It's been a long day. 132 points in 139 games. That's better. That's more Elias Pettersson numbers there. And he also has a career plus 19 and 46 power play points. So, I mean, Pettersson, a huge part of the Vancouver Canucks offensive attack for sure.
Absolutely. So we have 2 more honorable mentions left. Next one is Jordan Eberle. You're pretty familiar with him, Shane. Drafted 22nd overall in 2008 by Edmonton.
Still bitter about that trade.
Seasons with the Islanders, has 60 goals, 76 assists for 136 points. And interesting fact, he's dead even on the plus minus in 217 games played. Solid key piece to the Islanders. I don't know what happened with him in Edmonton. He had some key nights where he came in clutch, but I don't think he was nearly.
I look at
nearly what he is doing in the Islanders. I think he's highly reaching his potential in the Islanders.
Man, I look at the Oilers now, and I think about, Taylor Hall on the team and Jordan Eberle on the team. We would have easily one of the best offenses in the league. Like, you have Eberle, Hall, McDavid, Draisaitl, Nugent Hopkins. Yamamoto's getting up there. You have guys like Kyle Turris, who they just picked up. Like, that would be an unreal offense, man. And Eberle, I'm still bitter about that trade. You know, we traded Eberle to the Islanders for Ryan frickin' Strome, who is no longer basically anything in the NHL anymore. But I mean, Eberle is like you said, a key part of the Islanders offense for sure. And I mean, in 25 playoff points in 43 career games, and over the past 3 seasons, 136 points in 217 games, like you said. So yeah, I'm still bitter about that trade, but Eberle is a great player for the Islanders. He loves it in New York, by the way, and that's basically it for Eberle there.
Well, just think about this, Shane. Do you think if you were to keep all of those guys on that Oilers offense, would you be able to pay them all?
Well, that's the thing, right? Like, I mean, obviously, the NHL is a business. They got to make money. Players got to go where they make money. So, I mean, it's nice. It's nice to think about, but I mean, if you have a team like the Toronto Maple Leafs, who are literally stacked on offense and even now on defense, that those 3 guys they picked up in free agency, if the Leafs can make it work with how strapped a cap space they were, then why couldn't the Oilers? You know, like that would have maybe involved, you know, giving Connor McDavid a pay cut from $12.5 million to like 10.
Yeah, pretty much.
You know. And the last honorable mention that we have here, guys, you might be familiar with this one, Jake and Brandon. Nicholas Backstrom, forward for the Washington Capitals, who's been with the Capitals since 2006.
Tell him.
Go ahead.
He's going to come in and be like, nope, still don't know this guy.
Probably.
No, I know Backstrom. Don't worry.
Oh, okay.
I had him in my NHL games. Thank you very much.
Oh, okay. Well, there we go. So Braxton was drafted 4th overall by the 2006 Capitals. Spent obviously his entire career there in Washington. He is 32 years old. Last year he had 12 goals and 42 assists for a very, very solid 54 points in 61 games. So it doesn't look like Backstrom's slowing down anytime soon. And he had 1 assist and was -2 in 5 playoff games this season.
And he's been solid his entire career. 97 points in 956 games. That's as close to a point per game average as you get. Plus 19. And he's got 107 points in 128 playoff games. He's proven to be a key role to the Capitals' success. When they won the Cup, he was crucial to that run. And like you said, he doesn't show any signs of slowing down. I still give him 2 to 3 years before I think he's going to slow down.
One stat on Backstrom that really, really, it's a former Wild. Backstrom. No, Backstrom was with. You're thinking of the goalie. There was a goalie. There was a goalie named Nicholas Backstrom. That's a different player. There was actually a goalie with the exact same name, but this is a forward with Washington. One stat that really stands out for Backstrom, though, is a plus 119 over the course of his career. That is nuts, man. Crazy.
I think that just proves he's underrated as a 2-way forward.
Yeah, and I mean, I wonder if playing on the same line as Ovechkin has something to do with that. But, I mean, that is unreal. For those of you that aren't really familiar with plus minus, basically what happens is you get a plus if you are on the ice at the time of a goal, and you get a minus if you're on the ice at the time you give up a goal. So a plus 119 for Nicholas Backstrom, that basically means he's been on the ice 119 more times than he was when they gave up a goal, which is huge.
It's important for all positions, but I think for a defenseman, that's like one of your key
stats. Yeah, and I mean, if you get a goal on the power play or give up a goal on the power play, it's special team, so it doesn't count for plus minus. So the plus minuses are only for even strength points, which is something even more impressive for sure.
Absolutely. So
Tim, Tim, you want to get into the
real quick? Just so you guys know, I just looked through your list of 50 to 41. I literally only know 4 of these names.
Oh, wow.
I don't know 6 of them.
Wow. I mean, a lot of them are younger guys too, so.
Yeah, when I just looked them all up to find out what team they played for, I learned that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, 6 is better than 1 from honorable mentions. So, Tim, do you want to we will break open the top 50 with the 50th best player.
Number 50 is Matthew Barzal of the New York Islanders, drafted 16th overall in 2015. Wow, seems he was drafted a lot. Seems like that was just yesterday.
Yeah.
20 years old, 19 goals and 41 assists for 60 points in 68 games. Not too shabby for a forward.
Yeah.
5 goals and 12 assists for 17 points in 22 games in this year's playoffs.
Yeah.
He's definitely going to be a key role for the Islanders moving forward. They're definitely, I think, centering that franchise around him.
Yeah, and I mean his not only his career numbers, but his numbers over the last 3 seasons: 59 goals, 148 assists. That's 207 points in 232 games. So again, almost that point per game percentage there for Matthew Barzal. Definitely a high-powered offensive player for the Islanders, like you said. I mean, the Islanders are a good team. They've got Barzal, they've got Beauvillier, they've got Eberle. They got a lot of really, really good, solid offensive guys that play as a team and work together. And it helps that they got Barry Trotz as a coach. Trotz is going to do his best to push them all. But another thing that stands out for me with Matthew Barzal is 57 power play points and 9 game-winning goals. Those are also, by the way, those numbers that I gave you for the last 3 seasons. He's only played 3 seasons in the NHL, so those are also his career numbers. So over the course of his career, he's like 0.90 or something like that for points a game.
It's going to be interesting to see this Metro division unfold in the next couple of years, because you have teams like the Islanders, the Rangers coming up, and teams like Pittsburgh and Washington getting older. What are those teams going to do? It's going to be a power shift, I think.
You know, I am looking forward to the day that Pittsburgh crashes and burns, honestly. I'm just saying that because my dad and my brother are both Penguins fans, and they still rub it in my face that Pittsburgh has 3 cups, and I always rub it in their face that McDavid's better than Crosby, and they're like, oh, well, Crosby has 3 cups. How many does McDavid have? And so I'm just looking forward to the day where Pittsburgh's like bottom of the barrel and I can just rub it in their face. So I am looking forward to the day. There's definitely going to be a shift in power, like you said. Islanders, Rangers, even like the Philadelphia Flyers on the decline or on the incline, whatever the word is. and yeah, so definitely. We want to get into number 49 now. Hey Heather, nice to see you again. Number 49. Young stud defenseman from Colorado Avalanche, Cale Makar. This was a toss-up for me and Tim, whether you were going to put Makar or Hughes in the top 50. One of them had to go in, but Makar is also a Calder Trophy. He won the Calder Trophy this year. And I just there's something about Makar's resume that I just think he has, better stats than Hughes does. He was drafted 4th overall in 2017 by the Colorado Avalanche. 22 years old. This season was his first full season. Last year, obviously, he filled in on the blue line for the Avalanche playoff run, but this was his first full season. He wasn't eligible for the Calder last year. But this season, he had 12 goals, 38 assists for 50 points in 57 games. Now, for a defenseman, that is unreal. A young defenseman, a rookie defenseman.
Absolutely. And coming out of college, came out of UMass Amherst. He was heavily followed. Everybody that followed college hockey knew who he was. Like you said, 22 years old, just in his first full season last year, won the Calder Trophy. He is going to be a guy that will win the Norris, no doubt. He won't.
Without a doubt. And I mean, it helps that he's on a stacked Avalanche team right now. And I mean, Jared Bednar is a great coach. He's going to push Makar to be the best that he can. But obviously, like you said, Makar is a Calder Trophy winner. I have no doubts in my mind he's going to be a Norris Trophy winner, a Stanley Cup winner, maybe in the near future. Colorado has such a bright future. This team is going to be amazing when all the young players hit their prime. Exactly. I couldn't have said it better myself.
What better team than Colorado for a young defenseman to go to?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, another thing that stands out for me from Cale Makar, not only did he have a plus 12 in the regular season, but he was also a plus 12 in the playoffs. And Colorado got eliminated in the second round. So that's huge to be plus 12 and only be playing 2 rounds. And not only that, but he had in 15 playoff games, he had 15 points. So he was a solid point per game for the Avalanche in the playoffs. And I mean, a career 19 power play points, 4 game-winning goals. This kid is definitely deserves to be in the top 50. And I have no doubts in my mind that the more that he evolves, the higher he will be in the top 50 in future years for sure. Your turn, right? Yeah.
Number 48, Philadelphia Flyers, Sean Couturier, drafted 8th overall in 2011 by the Flyers. He's only 27. For some reason, I thought he was older than that.
I thought he was older too. I thought he was at least 30.
Yeah. 22 goals, 37 assists for 59 points in 69 games last season. That's not too shabby. Plus 21.
Mm-hmm.
He's like Kopitar. He's like Bergeron, where, he's a solid two-way forward. And he's been in the race for the Selke, I believe.
He won the Selke this season, didn't he?
Yeah, so
yeah,
he's definitely one of the best two-way forwards in the league. He's a key component to the Flyers, and I think as they continue to get back to where they used to be at one point, the Flyers are going to need to hold on to him.
Yeah, well, absolutely. And I mean, like, you're looking at, again, the Philadelphia, their core guys like Couturier, Giroux, Voracek, even like guys on defense like Gostisbehere. And for some reason, I can't think of any other defenseman off the top of my head for Philadelphia. There's Provorov, that's the other guy. Just guys like that, those young players, definitely going to make a huge impact there for the Flyers. And another thing that stands out for me for Couturier, you look at his plus 92 over the course of his career, and 402 points in 647 career games, 44 power play points. Over the past 3 seasons, he's had 211 points in 231 games. So, I mean, he's right up there with the elite forwards of the game. Like you said, a very, very good two-way forward. He's won the Selke Trophy as the best defensive forward this past season. And yeah, Sean Couturier is a stud for the Flyers.
Absolutely.
Number 47, Mark Stone, former Ottawa Senator that is now a member of the Vegas Golden Knights. This is crazy to me too, drafted 178th overall in 2010 by the Senators. For such a late draft pick, this guy's blossomed into a star for the Senators and Golden Knights. 28 years old. Last season, he had 63 points. 21 of those were goals in 65 games, and was also a plus 15. So great numbers there for Mark Stone. He does have a little bit the kind of depleted stats because he was injured for the majority of last season. But the fact that he's still averaging close to a point per game over the course of not only the past 3 seasons, but the course of his career, that he deserves to be in the top 50 for sure.
Absolutely. When Vegas acquired him, I remember everybody putting Vegas as the Stanley Cup favorite. That was the key component to what Vegas needed to put them over the edge, and they've yet to do that. But I think in the next 2 or 3 years, we're going to see Vegas, if they do things right, win a cup, or if not, make it back to the cup. Like you said, plus 32 with 37 power play points and 7 game-winning goals in the last 3 years. He's a key forward to a team that's going to win a cup.
Yeah, and I mean, like you said, I believe they got Mark Stone, and then the year after that, they got Max Pacioretty. And I mean, to add fuel to the fire, you put Stone, who's already an elite forward, on that team, but then you add Max Pacioretty, and now you add guys like Alex Pietrangelo and Alec Martinez, who are like 2 amazing defensemen. You look at the top pairing of Pietrangelo and most likely Martinez. That's a scary defensive pairing. Like, not a whole lot of forwards are going to get through those guys.
Plus, looking net, you have Robin West and Marc-Andre Fleury in a battle.
Yeah, and as a Pacific Division rival, the Vegas Golden Knights scare me for sure. They're a scary team.
Number 46, and I swear to God, you planned this on me. Torrey Krug.
I didn't even think about that, to be honest with you.
Undrafted into the NHL, but has played his entire career until signing with the Blues just a couple weeks ago with the Bruins. He's only 29. Last season had 9 goals, 40 assists for 49 points in 61 games. And he's been a key role for the Bruins, and this loss is going to hurt the Bruins. Has 337 points in 523 career games, plus 23 plus minus. And looking at him as a defenseman, he was a great component to the power play, was great on offense, and could also show up sometimes on defense. And I just hope he does good in St. Louis, but it's going to kill me to see him do good.
Not only that, but Torrey Krug, the one thing that surprises me is he was undrafted.
Yeah, Michigan State.
Which is nuts. Like, he's such a good defenseman to go into the NHL undrafted. And,
He was in Michigan State. He didn't even graduate yet. He was a senior in Michigan State, and the Bruins signed him when we were in the playoffs, and he got like 4 points in his first 2 games.
That's
an
nuts.
Undrafted rookie from Michigan State.
Yeah.
It's almost the equivalent of, I don't know, a 6th round draft pick from Michigan State.
Hey, no, Michigan State from Michigan University, but that's just a fun fact.
Number 46 was Torrey Krug. We're gonna get number 45 from the Calgary Flames, Matthew Turtlechuck. I need a glass of water here. Just give me a second.
Is that Maple?
I can't say his name without thinking of a turtle.
Is maple syrup?
It must be Matthew Tkachuk. The Calgary Flames. Tkachuk.
I'm pretty sure it's Tachik.
No,
it's Tkachuk.
No, you're definitely wrong. It's Tachik.
I like to think of it as Turtlechuck. That's how I like to think of it. I hate that guy with every core in my body. Drafted 6th overall by the Flames in 2016. He is 22 years old. Even though I hate the living crap out of this guy, I do have to admit he's a great player for the Flames. He's one of those guys that you absolutely can't stand when you play against him, but everyone on the Flames and all the Flames fans love him, rightfully so. I would love him too if he was on the Oilers. Last season, he had 23 goals and 38 assists for 61 points in 69 games and was a -5. And then he also had 1 goal and 1 assist in 6 playoff games. Obviously, he was injured for the last half of the series against Dallas there. But yeah, Tkachuk's a solid player for the Flames.
Absolutely. He's a gritty forward that likes to piss people off, but as you're drinking your maple syrup over there, likes a turtle. But 235 points in 293 games, that's not bad for a forward that at times he does show some grit.
Yeah.
He comes from a well-known family in the NHL. His dad played in the NHL. His brother's in the NHL. So there's a lot of expectations to live up to. He's a key component to Calgary, like you said, and I just think he's going to get better as he progresses in his career.
Yeah, and 235 points in 293 games. That's a great statistic. He's also a plus 22 and has 5 points in 15 career games. So definitely a bright future there for Matthew Tkachuk, who, like I said, is only 22 years old, only going to get better. And Jake should have just put, instead of forward Matthew Tkachuk, should have just put a big honking turtle on the banner right there. Go ahead with 44, Tim.
All right, this guy's had an insane career. Max Pacioretty, drafted 22nd overall in 2007 to Montreal. He's only going to be 32, but it seems like he's been in the NHL for 20 years. Last season, he had 32 goals and 34 assists for 66 points in 71 games, plus 18 plus minus. And he brought a key component to Vegas, and I think moving forward, he'll bring that again. I think it was good for him to get out of Montreal. His time in Montreal was over, and
I feel like the Canadians and the Canadians fans rather just kind of drove him out of the city.
Yeah,
like he had that one bad season. Habs fans are like religious to their hockey, so they have one bad season, you run a guy out of town. But Pacioretty, like we were just talking about Mark Stone, Pacioretty is like another key component to the Vegas Golden Knights. Vegas is going to win a cup a lot sooner than later.
Absolutely, and just look at his career. He broke his fucking neck, and he's playing at a professional rate again.
Yeah.
Like, how many people can say, "Oh, I've broken my neck and I've gone back to the NHL"?
Yeah, and that goes back to, for those of you watching that are like, what? That goes back to, I believe it was like probably at least 7 or 8 years ago, at least.
Oh, that 2000, probably 10 years ago.
Yeah, 10 years. Yeah, a long time ago. They were playing against Boston. Boston and Montreal are huge rivals in the NHL. Zdeno Chara, 6'9", storming, like towering defenseman for the Bruins, absolutely plowed him right into like the turnbuckle where the player's bench ends and the glass to the boards start. That turnbuckle right there that kind of separates them. He plowed him right into there. His neck snapped back, taken off on a stretcher, unconscious, broke his neck. Yeah.
I'm a Bruins fan. Total cheap shot.
Yeah, it was a cheap shot, and Pacioretty was actually told he was probably never going to play hockey again. So for him to recover from that injury and still be putting up, not only that, but be putting up the numbers like 66 points in 71 games for a season, like this just shows the willpower and the determination that this guy has. He's not going to let a gruesome injury like that get the best of him, and he's still putting up great numbers for 32 years old. Soon to be 32 years old. I think his birthday's in a few days, but yeah, definitely. And like you look at his career, 554 points in 763 games. Crazy. Number 43. This is also a Pacific Division rival of mine, another Vancouver Canuck. Just named the captain of the Canucks this year, actually, Bo Horvat, number 43. He was drafted 9th overall by the 2013 Canucks. This is another guy that I kind of wish the Oilers would have got instead of Nugent Hopkins.
Yep.
He was named captain last season. Like I said, he's 25 years old. 22 goals and 31 assists for 53 points in 69 games last season. He was a minus 15, but I mean, plus minus for forwards. I mean, I don't really look at that much.
Yeah, for forwards, it doesn't really matter that much. I feel like it's more of what you do on the ice because, like, I don't know. He's still a solid key piece to the Canucks. Like, if the Canucks want to keep moving up, they're going to need Horvat. Career numbers, 120 goals and 155 assists for 275 points. He's already almost played 500 games, and he's 25 years old. He's a solid for the Canucks.
Yeah, and 483 points. So yeah, he's nearing 500 points. Or sorry, no, I'm looking at the wrong guy again. My God, Tim, I need a beer.
Stop.
Yeah, sorry, 500. He's almost played. Like he'll hit 500 games this next season. But he's a career minus 65, which I mean, like you said, for forward doesn't mean a whole lot, but it is kind of concerning. You're on the ice for 65 more goals against than you are for goals above. But I mean, that goes back to the years where the Canucks were rebuilding. They didn't have much of a team. They were bottom of the Pacific Division. You look at the stats over the last 3 seasons for Horvat, it goes up considerably in plus minus. So not too worried about that, but he's definitely a solid player, definitely the right guy that the Canucks picked to lead them in the future. And the Canucks, I mean, like you said, or like we all know that everyone that follows hockey, 1 game away from reaching the Western Conference Finals. They lost in Game 7 to the Golden Knights last playoffs, and they exceeded expectations. Everyone thought Vancouver was going to just squeak into playoffs, maybe lose out in the qualifiers. They exceeded expectations for sure. I don't mind the Canucks. They're like one of my favorite teams. Obviously, Oilers, and then probably Canucks are a close second. But definitely, Horvat's the right guy to lead this team. Travis Green is a great coach, and I think it's only up from here for the Canucks. You got young guys like Pettersson, Besser, Horvat, Hughes. They're all leading the charge there in Vancouver. So I think you're sitting pretty for the Vancouver Canucks.
Absolutely. Number 42, Mark Giordano, another undrafted defenseman into the NHL.
Unreal.
14 of his NHL seasons with the Flames. He's been a team captain since 2013, 37 years old. In his last season, he had 5 goals, 26 assists for 31 points in 60 games. That's not bad at all for a defenseman that's 37 years old.
Yeah.
It's just a solid key component to Calgary. He's a solid defenseman, a solid locker room presence. And at this point, I feel like his value is almost the same to what Chara's value is. Chara might be valuable in the locker room. Giordano might be valuable more in the locker room than on the ice at this point.
And obviously, you know, the reason why we put Mark Giordano in this top 50, like, yeah, he is 37 years old. He's getting up there in age. With Giordano, it wasn't really more about the points or the statistics there, but a lot of Giordano's time in the NHL, he's been a captain, and he's a solid leader. He's one of the most well-respected captains in the league by numerous teams, by almost every team. And he's, like you said, a solid defenseman. He's been with the Flames his entire career, and it's just his solid leadership skills and everything that this guy brings, not only on the ice, but off the ice as well, that makes him a great player, and that's why he's in this countdown. But at the same time, his stats aren't bad. Like, the last 3 seasons, he had 143 points in 220 games and was a plus 41. So, I mean, for a defenseman, those are like great numbers.
Oh, yeah. And look at his total career stats. 893 games, 483 points. So you're telling me that he was averaging almost a half a point a game as a defenseman, an undrafted defenseman.
And plus 96.
Yeah.
Crazy. Undrafted. Like, these undrafted players turn into like I had no idea Giordano was undrafted. I had no idea Krug was undrafted. And I mean, like, the only thing is, what's crazy to me is Giordano's been in the league for 14 seasons and he's only played 23 playoff games.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So that was my next point. It's not like Calgary has been a great team that he's been on. Calgary's had their years where they've been shit. And going back to the undrafted players, the only reason I even knew about Krug being undrafted is because I'm a Bruins fan. So
yeah,
when he came in, it was a big deal. But it's crazy how I think it's more common in defensemen to go undrafted.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, defensemen are obviously going to have an easier path to the NHL going undrafted than a forward. I think if you're going to be a successful forward in the NHL, you do have to get drafted. A lot of undrafted forwards. I mean, don't get me wrong. There are some undrafted forwards that have been unreal in the NHL, have went on to have great careers. But it's more common, definitely, for a defenseman to take that route than a forward, for sure.
You want the last one?
Yeah, we'll get into number 41, the 41, and this is the last player of the countdown for this episode. You see it right there on the bottom of the screen. Stars captain Jamie Benn coming in at number 41. Another late draft pick. Ben was drafted 129th overall to the Dallas Stars in 2007. So another player that's played his entire career with the same team. Like I said, he's team captain. He's been team captain since 2014 or 2015, somewhere around there. He is 31 years old. Over the course of 3 seasons, great stats, 82 goals, 89 assists for 171 points in 229 games. So, I mean, for a forward, especially one that's played with the Dallas Stars, definitely not too shabby numbers.
Absolutely not. And in total career, 688 points in 814 games. That's great. Plus 47. And then last 3 seasons, 82 goals, 89 assists for 171 points as a power forward, because he's a big body forward that knows how to get his way in the NHL. So, like you said, 129th overall. I would have never expected him to be drafted 129th overall.
I mean, you look at all these players that are high draft picks, not high draft picks, like low draft picks, I guess. And like Jamie Benn, for example, 129th overall. He's got 688 points in over 800 career games. Like, I mean, if you go first overall, yeah, it's an accomplishment. And I mean, you have once in a lifetime, you have those generational talents like the Sidney Crosbys or the Connor McDavids. But there's a lot of guys, more guys than you can think of in the NHL that have been low draft picks like that and have went on to be like super successful and have great careers in the NHL. Jamie Benn's one of those guys.
And keep him with Sagan. That Dallas team is a good team right now. They're good. A couple years, I think they'll be right in that Final Four, I believe.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, like who's another guy in the honorable mention, Miro Heiskanen. Yeah, keep him with that core and keep Ben and Sagan and Radulov all together. You're looking at a great Dallas Stars team. Things are only going to get better. Maybe see a cup in the near future for them. Who knows?
And I don't think we mentioned this: 49 points in 59 career playoff games for Ben.
Yeah, that's another that's almost a point per game in the playoffs. So he definitely comes to play.
Yeah, absolutely. That was
Mhm.
one that even made it to the finals. So
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So, guys, there is the 10 honorable mentions and number 50 to 41 in the GCSN top 50 NHL players currently. We'll be back next Thursday. We'll bring you number 40 to 21 on next Thursday, November 19th. Definitely tune into that. And we are going to get right there on the bottom of the screen. You see it. Elizabeth and Hunter will be with you for Behind the Basket. Tim, thanks a lot. And I look forward to the next part of the countdown next week.
oh, absolutely. Another 20 players going next week.
Absolutely. All right. See you guys. Look out for Behind the Basket coming up in just a few minutes' time.